All right, we got an update for you on Brett Favre and this situation down in Mississippi. Okay, guys. It's a little bit of a complicated story, and I do have to recommend my own monologue on the matter to get the whole backstory and like all the details here. But the TLDR is basically Mississippi has long been one of the stingiest states, if not the stingiest state in the country in terms of welfare funds. You get a block grant from the federal government, and states have a lot of latitude at this point, post Bill Clinton, in what they can do with this money. Poor people in the state weren't getting the money, so there was a big question, okay, who is getting the money? Turns out that a bunch of like wealthy, politically connected scammers were getting millions and tens of millions of dollars out of the state's welfare fund, some for direct personal use, investments in this like sort of scammy med tech company, all that it turns out that Brett Favre is the lead investor in. He was also paid to give quote unquote speeches that, and we're talking about like $1.5 million to give speeches that apparently he never gave. But the big focus with regard to Brett Favre is the fact that he was pushing for something like $5 million to build this stadium, volleyball stadium for his daughter at her university. It's the same university that he went to and played football at. And he's buddies with the former governor, Phil Bryant. He was texting back and forth with him, texting back and forth with this lady who was at the center of some of the other fraud and her son, trying to bilk the welfare fund for this money. He denies wrongdoing. He says he had no idea that this money was coming from this fund. Well, there are new court filings that do not cast Mr. Favre in a very positive light. ESPN has the write-up here. Let's go ahead and put it up on the screen. They say Brett Favre pressed for facility funding despite being told that the legality was in question, according to this new court filing. By the way, and I'll get into a little bit more of this, the court filing is from the former governor, Phil Bryant, who is trying to protect his ass. So keep that in mind. He released some selected text messages to try to cast himself in the best possible light, this former governor. And so what Favre texted him in these text messages that were in the court filing, he says, "We obviously need your help big time, and time is working against us," Favre wrote, "and we feel that your name is the perfect choice for this facility, and we are not taking no for an answer. You are a Southern Miss alumni, and folks need to know you are also a supporter of the university." Bryant responded by text, according to the filing, quote, "We are going to get there. This was a great meeting, but we have to follow the law. I am too old for federal prison." And then he did like a smiley face in the sunglass emoji. But repeatedly, even after being told by the governor, like, "I don't know if this is legal," Favre continues to press. So that seems to indicate he knew this was shadier than he's letting on now that he's like, "Oh, I had no idea. I thought it was all above board."
The whole thing that drives me insane about this is, like you said, it's not just Favre. It's like a bunch of wealthy people in the state of Michigan. This is funds for welfare.
Yes.
Like these are literally funds so that poor people can eat.
Yes.
Like single mothers.
They literally stole funds from poor people to line the pockets of rich people.
Right.
I mean, literally welfare for rich people.
And Brett is worth $110 million. Multi-millionaire money. He could build the stadium by himself if he wanted to so bad for his daughter's volleyball program.
Yes.
The best part too is when he's like, use of these funds is tightly controlled. Improper use could result in violation of federal law. And he's still like, yeah, let's do it though.
But again,
it's like, what?
Let's keep in mind though that this is a court filing from the former governor who's trying to cover his ass and say, look, I warned, this was not, this was shady, etc. There's a lot of other information to indicate that this guy was in on the whole thing, knew what was going on, was coaching Favre and this other lady on how to write the proposal to get around to like create legal loopholes and get around the issues. And there was rampant tens of millions of dollars of fraud in this welfare fund while he was governor. So let's put this next piece up on the screen. That's from Mississippi Today. They have been doing phenomenal work breaking all of this down. I really encourage you to support them if you can. Former Governor Phil Bryant moves to keep text private while denying he helped channel welfare funds to Brett Favre's volleyball stadium. So he's objecting to turning over any of his records and the full extent of his text messages. In this filing, they just like took out the ones that they thought were the most favorable for them. They shared those, but they're saying, we don't need to give you anything else. if you didn't have anything to hide, wouldn't you want to release all of those text messages and say, see, here is the whole account of what happened with regards to this freaking stadium. I didn't have anything to do with it. I was telling them it was illegal. I was like saying, no, we can't go down this road. So the fact that he's going to great lengths to make sure that these text messages stay hidden is very suggestive of his role in this whole thing. And as I said before and covered in my monologue, there were a lot of other text messages that looked very, very bad for him. And by the way, the current governor, and they're both Republicans and both, know each other and similar donors and whatever, current governor seems to be helping him to try to, not investigate his role and to keep these text messages hidden, et cetera, et cetera. So Governor Phil Bryant may look like he's okay in some of these text messages that came out in his court filing. But remember, there was other information that was released where he was directly involved, seemed to know where the funds were coming from, and was coaching them on how to help this avoid legal scrutiny.
Right. I think that's the key is, look, Brett Favre, you could clear your name today. Release every single text message that you got with the governor.
Yeah.
I wait for the subpoena. Same with all of them. You guys say you haven't done anything good? Publish them.
Show us the record.
Publish it. Release the transcript, as we once used to say. But I think it's a tremendous tale of corruption from what we've seen so far, and I hope that a lot of people go to jail as a result of this, or at the very least are fined to high hell, because it is repulsive to steal from a literal welfare fund to, for nepotism purposes. And when you're famous and leveraging political power, all in a state which, look, Mississippi, I mean, they're suffering, right? Welfare already is an issue. I think it's one of the most obese, unhealthy states in the U.S.
It's either the poorest or the second poorest.
Right, it's always up there in one
nation.
of the poorest places.
Yeah,
this is
look at what's happening in Jackson.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why there's not an accident that it happens there. So already. To steal from poor people in general is terrible, but to steal from some of the poorest people in the country is an extra level of
it's unbelievable
horrific when you're already this filthy rich.
And then the last piece of this that is quite shocking, just to show you the level of depravity and disgustingness that was going on here. This text from Brett Favre, go ahead and put it up on the screen. When asking Bryant in 2018 for help finding funding to construct lockers at the facility, quote, "It would be helpful if someone would build them on their spare time." Pancho mentioned the prison industry possibly as a builder. So Brett Favre there floating, he's floating prison labor, right? Isn't that what that means?
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Floating, using prison labor to make a volleyball stadium for his daughter. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about a dude who's worth $100 million. Is that what you look?
Over $100 million.
Just, I have no words.
Yeah,
no words.
It's just it is genuinely crazy. Whenever you consider everything going on with this. And look, it's on Mr. Favre and all them can clear their name. They can tell us exactly what's going on. That's what we're calling
on. Release the emails, release the texts. Let's see it all.
Absolutely.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.